All right, we will officially call our city council meeting to order. Thanks everybody for being here this evening. We have a very, very busy agenda, so we're going to get right to it. I would ask that you join us in our moment of silent reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, we've got two proclamation presentations this evening, and we're going to get them squared away here. All right, first, we'd like to invite members of the Daughters of the American Revolution to come forward. We do this every year. We've got a proclamation for you this evening. All right.
If we can get one other person over on this side, if one of you will join. Okay, thanks.
So this is a proclamation that celebrates Constitution Week 2024. I'm just going to read the very bottom of it out of the interest of time. So it's Constitution Week. I, Mayor Robbie Skinner, Mayor of the City of Buckhannon, pursuant to the power and authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim September 17th through 23rd, 2024 as Constitution Week throughout our city, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals and the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 to protect the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardians of liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. This is Constitution Week 2024.
Y'all want to play 1, 2, 3.
All right.
She's one more.
Right here. And one more.
Well, you get a triple dose tonight.
And I'm getting me too.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
1,
Thank
2,
you.
3. Couple.
Okay. Thanks, Robbie.
I'll have some copies for you too. So,
Okay.
who wants the official one? And then there's some copies. There's two there. So, thank you all.
Do we have any comments?
Thank you.
Yeah, do you all want to say anything?
Not really. Thank you. Just thank you for doing
Well,
this.
absolutely. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, kids.
Thank you for coming. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, you are next if you'd like to join me up here.
That includes you.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, right.
It's just like I'll save that for later. All right, this is a proclamation celebrating Patriot Week, serving our veterans. I will also read the same as I did before. Now, therefore, it be resolved that as mayor of the city of Buckhannon, that I am issuing this proclamation to memorialize those who have served our nation and are committed, and we are committed to still serve them. Be it resolved that this proclamation be publicized for all to see and know that the citizens of Buckhannon remember with eternal respect those who have served our nation and may now need assistance. Respectfully submitted on this 5th day of September, I, Mayor Robert Neal Skinner III, City of Buckhannon.
Okay.
Right here, gentlemen. Go
Go
this
with
way.
this way. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Trade your places.
All right, now don't smile. Okay? Hang on. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who wants the official one?
Thank you.
There's that, and there's that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for service. Thank you.
Thanks for all.
Yeah.
Great. End of the,
Excuse me. Up next, we have new to us this evening from Student Senate at West Virginia Wesleyan College, Wyatt Burns, to bring us greetings from the campus. Welcome, Wyatt.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you today. I am Wyatt Burns, and I'll be representing West Virginia Wesleyan College Student Senate and Student Body here as the Alumni and Community Relations Chairman. I am from Horner in Lewis County. I am a sophomore biochemistry major at Wesleyan. I'm a member of the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine GODIO Early Scholars Program. I'm a West Virginia, I'm a member of the Service Scholars. The Service Scholars over there, I do work at Tennerton Elementary School in a first grade classroom, and I'm also a member of many other organizations on campus. A little bit about me. If you've driven past in Lewis County here recently in the last election cycle, you may have seen my campaign signs up. I ran unsuccessfully for the Lewis County Board of Education, where I lost, receiving about 47% of the vote. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all of the members of City Council that were elected and re-elected over the summer. Congratulations to you, Mr. Zuliani, Ms. Bucklew, Mr. Rieger, and also Mayor Skinner. Also to you, Mayor Skinner, the students of West Virginia Wesleyan College would like to congratulate you and the First Lady on your recent marriage.
Well, thank you.
A little bit about what we have coming into Buckhannon. On August 17th, we welcomed our students back to campus. Our first year class welcomes over 360 new students to Buckhannon from 28 different states and 13 countries. 40 West Virginia counties are represented in this first year class. We have seen a 10% enrollment increase since 2022. This marks our second consecutive year of enrollment growth. We've also seen a 20% increase in West Virginia students since 2023. 10% of this new class is international students. We have seen 52% of this class be West Virginia students, and the remaining 48% be from out of state or international. Over 20% of the incoming students have a West Virginia Promise Scholarship, which helps bring money into the campus. 60% of our students are student athletes in this new class. 24 new service scholars, 3 new students in the West Virginia School of Osteopathic Medicine GODIO program. 60 new students are on creative arts scholarships, and we have seen a 40% increase in graduate students. So big things are happening over at the campus, and that means big things for our community, for our state, for our country. Upcoming events that we'd like everybody in the city of Buckhannon and the council to be aware of. On September 7th, we would like to invite everyone to attend the We Lead Invisible Illness Suicide Prevention Walk. That'll be going on September the 7th at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. we'll have a speaker, and then the walk will start at 5. We encourage all members of the community to attend. We'd like to make this a big event. On the 14th, we would like to invite everyone to the first football game underneath the lights at the newly renovated stadium. That game will kick off about 6:30. And just a reminder that all Wesleyan athletics can be found on our website, and admission is free. So if you're looking for something to do, come attend one of our sporting events and help support our student athletes. September 14th as well, we will hold the Pi K Run and Walk, sponsored by the Alpha Delta Pi sorority, who will benefit the Ronald McDonald Charity House. So if you're looking for something to do on the 14th, we will hold another 5K walk. Are you looking to help support the local community? The We Lead Poverty Reduction Team is hosting the Spread the Love Peanut Butter Drive to support the Parish House in the local community from September 30th through October 14th. So Peanut Butter Drive, come check out Wesleyan, come check out the Parish House, and donate some peanut butter to help out the community. And lastly, Wesleyan will be celebrating its 134th birthday next week, and we'll be kicking off the 1890 Challenge again. So please consider supporting Wesleyan, its students, and its staff through the Wesleyan Fund with your donation. Links will be all over social media and over regular print media. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to field them.
Wyatt, where on September the 7th, where is the walk?
So Sadie, what is it?
The River Walk.
So we will kick off at the River Walk.
Thank you.
Yep.
What do you attribute 2 years of increased enrollment to? Because that's bucking some trends at other other small private colleges?
So Wesleyan has the benefit of having that small home feel, that everything's so close together, and I'd also attribute it a lot to our leadership at the campus. I think President Moore has done a great job in leading the college in a great direction, and I think the staff, and it's truly there that students can really feel that the staff and faculty at Wesleyan really care and really strive for the students to be the best. And I think even coming and visiting, that you can feel that. And I think that is why Wesleyan's headed in the great direction compared to other institutions.
Great.
Well, Wyatt, thank you for being here. Great report. We will look forward to having you back month after month. And
Yes.
so if we can be of any help, or service to you, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, okay?
Thank you guys. If you guys need anything from Wesleyan, feel free to contact me as well.
I will ask if you would, do you have your bio as part of that report?
I do not. I do
If you
not.
could send me some notes or have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I can do
great,
that.
like include your bio in our minutes, since you'll
Okay.
be with us this year.
Absolutely.
Wyatt.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Wyatt. Have a good evening.
All right. Dr. Reed?
Thank you for listening to me. I have the cart before the horse, and I apologize for that. I believe that you have my document in your pack. I propose that education is best served by doing things. The medical profession has, through the nurses and through the doctors, practiced that for many, many years, and I believe it's a good plan, good policy. Wesleyan, I understand, has 25 people who are working in internship relationships in various places in the county. The community care has just turned out, I believe, a dozen students with a particular program. Hospital has introduced the program. When President Gee first came to Buckhannon, when he came back to Buckhannon, I suggested to him that internships was a good idea, and I've gradually seen that increase. And so my proposal tonight is that the high school students be given the opportunity to practice some of that in civics. And my proposal is that the city and the county commission and the Board of Education each contribute 3 or 4 topics. Let the students add to that if they so choose, and then come and present to each body separate presentations, perhaps, and that they conduct a mock session of that board, allowing their members then to present their thoughts and ideas that they have developed over a year's time. The hope then eventually would be that there could be a close enough working relationship with the college that they might be able to get advanced placement credit for the entire project if they had done a reasonable amount of work in that area. I say I've had the cart before the horse because I don't have approval from the school people yet. I have presented to Dr. Miller, and I asked yesterday any feedback, and she said not yet. So that's where we are. If you have questions for me, I'll be glad to try to answer.
Any questions for Dr. Reed?
Dr. Reed, what do we do as individuals on the council or the mayor, the recorder, to help you with this project?
Advocate to the principal of the high school, I think, is probably the most direct way.
Have other communities done this that you're aware of?
No, not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they haven't. 10 years ago, we organized a joint meeting of the City Council and County Commission. And the students at that time studied the issue and made a presentation on the recreation complex. Actually, Teresa Summers and Tabitha dug out the minutes from that meeting, which I have a copy of here with me. I don't know whether this is being considered in the county's efforts to develop a recreation park or the Stockard Youth Center or not. But that is the precedence that I know of, that I've fortunately had the opportunity to be involved in promoting.
Well, I want to thank you, Dr. Reed, for the presentation. And Mayor, I think this is something we could consider, review closer once we find out what the Board of Education decides to put the parameters on it. I don't know that we could do anything more than that. Just consider it, review the materials you submit, and then find out what parameters the Board of Education puts on it. And then we can bring it back to the table for further discussion and possible adoption of some sort, or support of some sort.
I think that's reasonable. Does that sound reasonable, Dr. Reed?
What I'm asking for is your willingness to be consider the project.
I think that answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think anything we can do to help students get more involved in the education process and look at different opportunities is important. If I can help you in any way, let me know.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay.
I would like Clive here just to say thanks for the session last night about fire fee. I think it was a good idea, well done. My suggestion would be that the comments that the mayor made and the comments that the president of the county commission made would have been helpful if they could have been given at the beginning, so that kind of laid out the parameters of things that we were talking about. And I've just put that in words and pass it around.
I agree 100% on that.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
think sometimes we have a lot of information here, as well as I think the commissioners have a lot of information. I think sometimes we don't realize that the public, didn't necessarily know what a first due was, or where the first due lines are, or what all of that means and how it relates to them. I think we just sometimes forget that because we live in the world. We've been discussing it for a long time. So I think when we talk about first due, we just kind of think, okay, well, the public knows what a first due is. So.
I had the opportunity to know John Bolton, who was the public relations officer for the university for a while. And somebody asked him early on when social media became prevalent, what do you use? He said everything, and still people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And we've experienced that here in Buckhannon and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Tammy, you did not circle yes or no. Are you a yes or a no on speaking?
No, might have questions later, but no.
Okay. And Commissioner Tenney? No? Okay. All right. At this time, I do not see anyone else who has indicated that they would like to speak this evening. So at this time, I'd entertain a motion that public comment section be closed.
Sure.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, that motion carries. Public comment section is closed. We will begin now with our department reports. And Mr. Jerry Arnold is first up. Well, or
Jerry's here. So,
you said that with such excitement. You
I couldn't wait.
Yeah.
No. So, street departments had a busy month. They completed the paving of pickleball and basketball courts at the city park. We had the paint, rubberized paint for the playing surface ordered. As soon as it comes in, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll have it applied. They also began hauling some topsoil for the completion of the Madison Street parking lot. Then we're gonna try and get some grass sowed in before the weather gets too bad. And they also began work on Ritchie Street, widening the lane and adding curbs there. They paved the first phase today. I believe they're gonna start prepping for the second phase tomorrow or early next week and continue on that project. And the paving bids we have opened and reviewed with J.F. Allen coming in as the low bidder, which is later on. And with that, the list of paving priorities has been sent out to you all. I have an updated list with those bid prices, and I also added another project I'll pass out here to maintain accuracy with the letter that was sent out to the bidders. With waste, there's nothing new to report. Sanitary sewer, they finished the Island Avenue project. It went pretty well. We finished it a month earlier than expected. We are continuing on a lower drive upgrade. We finished the first of 4 runs on it this month. And the maintenance crew began a major project upgrading one of our plank clarifiers. It involved draining it. It'll be down for about a month while the main pool gear in the center of it is being rebuilt. And as of today, we are fighting sinkholes. We've had 3 pop up yesterday and today, so watch out if you see a hole form. Sinkholes. A lot of times whenever the dry weather comes and then we get a heavy rainfall like we did Saturday, the valves and some of the storm sewer pipes suck into the silt and it just opens up a void. So nothing serious, but something that needs to be addressed. Water department, they are also fighting with leaks. They had 11 as of yesterday. I know they had another 1 today, so they've had 12 this month. In between leaks, they are moving on Island Avenue also. I think they have about 500 feet installed so far of main line, and then they are continuing work with lead and copper surveys. And for engineering, the Temperature Booster Station, the water department in CI Thornburg have rewired the SCADA control panel, and the department is 3 weeks out from the 3-month trial period of the booster station beginning. FEMA mitigation grant number 2, there's nothing new. Grant number 1, the contractor is currently in the process of acquiring the necessary equipment to complete the change of scope. It is anticipated to last 2 weeks of that construction. Stockard Youth and Community Center, working with Deborah, they've prepared the bid packages for the replacement of the existing tile floor, and they're tentatively looking at the installation of the new floor in mid-December this year to mid-January of 2025. The local floodplain project, there's nothing new to report. Upshur County tap on Morton Avenue, nothing new. We're waiting to hear back from the DOH for review and execution for the notice to proceed on the design portion of that project. ARPA with the sanitary sewer collection on North Locust Street, it's complete, and we're waiting on the final as-built. Taylor Street, we have received the project final as-built, and that will be closed out hopefully within the next week or 2. And I believe that's all I have for the department report.
Might follow up as well. Ethan contacted me today about a sinkhole. They'll have about a 1-day repair on that one, you think?
Yes, it should be repaired by tomorrow.
Okay.
The street is currently still open on East Victoria between Smithfield and Elm.
It's happened there before.
I would say it's the same thing. It was a tap that wasn't plugged in.
Yeah.
And that was where it's another one, but it'll be closed through the workday tomorrow, nothing for the weekend.
We did get an announcement out today on that. Probably won't at this point, but normally if there's going to be an extended period of time where traffic is disrupted because of a sinkhole or something like that, you just kind of keep a watch for our special announcements to go out, and then we put it on Facebook and we put it on the website. But we do have an email list that we shoot it out to particularly for the buses. School
Yeah.
buses sometimes have to be rerouted for those. But I think it's reflective, like you said, the weather, such a dry summer, infrastructure problems, and when things like that happen,
They
you
pop
guys
up
have,
quick.
you gotta get right to it. You
Yeah.
gotta leave whatever project you're working on. If you're doing a new project,
Yeah.
you gotta leave that project and go to that repair so we can get it done. So
Yeah.
appreciate everybody's patience and understanding with that.
While you're still there, just before the meeting, Jerry asked if we could move F1 up during your report. Council, would you agree to that? This is to accept the bid opening results for paving streets,
You want a motion?
paving
to that
services, I
effect?
should say. Yes, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McCauley, second by Mrs. Bucklew. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. Oh, sorry, Jack. The ayes have it, all in favor. And so we are now with F1, and this is to accept the low bid and opening results for paving, excuse me, services.
Yes, so we had two bidders on this project. It was JF Allen with a bid of $2,040. They were the low bidder, and West Virginia Paving was the other bidder with a base bid of $5,280.68.
If you want to explain that, what that means as far as
Yeah.
$2,000 stuff. Yeah.
So what we did on this bid package is we bid out unit price for base, wearing, milling, and mobilization costs for any single project. So the base bid is the combination of those four items. The big difference on this one was the mobilization, because JF Allen is local, they have much lower costs. And I've actually spoke with JF Allen, and some of their costs might even go down a little bit. They can't go up since that's what they bid on. And I used those bids to get the estimates for the projects that were sent out. So that's the process of how the bidder was selected.
I want to note too that there was included a clause about keeping up on schedules.
Yes, there's a clause for liquidated damages in this. Once they sign the agreement that they're gonna do this project and begin on that, such as milling, they have 30 days, I believe, to complete the overlay on that project.
Thanks to Jerry and Ethan for catching that, putting that in there, because I think we all know we've experienced some delays and delays and delays on certain projects. And the public looks at us, not realizing that it's another company or a vendor
Right.
that's, that's involved there, so.
Is there a motion to accept the apparent low bidder?
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Sanders, a second by Mrs. Bucklew. Any further discussion? Hearing the need for none, we'll call for that question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right. Ambi is on vacation this week.
Yeah, stop the presses on that.
Yeah.
Every 20 years, whether she needs it or not.
She's probably watching, but so anyway, yes, Ambi's on vacation, so Barb is here this evening. Hello, Barb.
Hello. How are you all?
We're doing well. How are you?
Good, thanks. Your balances for the end of August, general fund, money market, and checking was $1,010,265. And the CD was $86,575. Historical landmark savings, $3,037. Stockert Youth Center capital campaign is $448,161 plus $12,000 pledge, which would make $460,161. Coal tax is $59,059. Municipal stabilization fund is $924,215. Flood control, $78,350. Consolidated Public Works Board, $172,508. And a cemetery CD for $235,407. Sales tax is $1,780,233. American Rescue Plan is $202,694. And the opioid account is $113,250.
Which one was that?
The opioid account. And then your revenues for August was $351,399.98. Expenditures was $521,600.42, leaving that we spent $170,244 more than our revenues. And then some notable payments of bills. We did $8,143.35 to the Wamsby Buckhannon Host Committee for the purchase of merchandise. $6,120 to Benjamin Lee Arisman for mowing of city lots. $3,780 to Ace Materials for concrete for the Madison Street sidewalk. And $6,000 to West Virginia Wesleyan College. That was the 24-25 fiscal year budget for maintenance of the art gallery.
Okay.
That's all I
Any,
have for now.
any questions for Barb? Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks, Barb.
All right. Up next, Chief Kimball, good evening.
How's everybody?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing fine. In your packet is our activity report through August 31st. We're up to, let me get down to my notes here. Okay, stop dropping them all. Getting old. 681 incidents through the end of August. That's on par for about last year. I think we're down just a few calls, but I'm going to ask the public if we don't refrain from burning here before long, if we don't get some substantial rain, our fire season is going to be very active. So please, if you're going to burn outdoors right now, you can, but be very careful if there's any wind. I would rather you not wait until we get, rather you wait until we get some good rain. So we're down quite a bit. Activity. I don't know if y'all saw Buckhanon's article. Roughly 3 weeks ago, we had a structure fire on the Cleveland Avenue, in the Cleveland Avenue area. As the engine crew arrived, there was 3 personnel on the engine. There was a vehicle in the front, so we always assume whether there's a vehicle there or not that the occupants are in the house. So we always do a primary search. Upon the primary search, while they were doing that, the fire was being extinguished simultaneously. The second engine arrived. That crew started a secondary search, and we removed 4 dogs. 2 of them were unresponsive. As we removed them, 2 of the dogs were pad oxygen was placed on those dogs, and CPR started on them. Those 4 dogs are well today. They visited the firehouse. We also saved, I called it a gecko lizard. I don't know, there's a lizard about this big. It's a lizard. They couldn't bring the lizard because it was like 68 degrees and it's not made for that climate. So they didn't bring the lizard. But it was a very good time. The children came with the dogs. They got to play on the fire trucks, and you know, that's in my career, that's about the 3rd time we've made grabs on pets, and we all know people's pets.
What breed were they?
3 of them were, well, one of them was a poodle, I can tell you that.
2 of them were Chihuahuas.
Chihuahuas,
A Chihuahua.
Chihuahua,
Wiener dog.
wiener dog mix,
And then a black poodle, and then one of those big
It was a big
white
dog.
Pyrenees.
What's a
Pyrenees.
What's a tweenie?
Chihuahua. It's a Chihuahua and a
Wiener dog mix.
And a dachshund.
So,
I just know that because I called.
So I'm very proud of our crews, Upshur County EMS, and Steve Wyckoff from the Department of Homeland Security was there assisting, reviving these dogs. And we all know pets are our children. I mean, my dogs are, you know, not as important as my children, but they're pretty close. And I love my dogs, and everybody loves them. And of course, when the family was gone, as they arrived, whenever they saw the fire trucks, of course, first question is, where's our dogs? And I asked them how many they had, and they said 4, and I said, we have them. So, but those dogs were transported to Fairmont, and I think the bigger one went on to Morgantown. We called it like a health net they transferred from Fairmont to Morgantown without one dog. They took care of it, and all of them were well and good. So very proud of everybody. They worked well together. So training facility update. I don't know if any of y'all have been out there. We're getting ready to start on the actual burn building. We're getting ready to cut the doors out, order some door kits, some burn chambers for the inside. And also I have some very big news. Of course, we all know Captain Joey Baxa goes all over the country training firefighters, and he was in Loudoun County, Virginia last weekend, and I got a phone call, and he said, what do you think about a free flashover simulator, which is very huge. It's a $100,000 item that Loudoun County has been using because Loudoun County has crazy money, kind of like City of Bridgeport. They replace theirs every so often, even though it's not wore out, and we're getting it for free.
Excellent.
All we have to do is go get it. So I've already arranged, spoke to the crane operator that set our boxes. It'll probably take a tractor trailer up with him and another person. He'll rent a crane in Virginia, set it, bring it back and unload it out here. So hopefully that date's between like October 16th and 18th that we have to go retrieve them. So there's a specific timeline we have to do that at. So, because they have a brand new one coming in, probably a $400,000. Maybe we can get on the rotation. They just, if they get rid of theirs every so often, we'll just keep going and get them. How's that? But very good news for us. That'll be a great addition, and I appreciate Joey Baxa out there. When people speak up, we listen. So especially when it's free. So another good thing, Joey and I had written. So there's micro grants in the firefighter grant process for FEMA. And micro grants are based on policies and procedures more than financials. So Joey and I sat down and wrote a grant for physical fitness equipment. We've learned through our mental wellness program that physical fitness is a release for everybody. When they have mental strains, they work out. So that's part of the grant we wrote, and we received $38,000 from the federal government to enhance our workout equipment. So, plus, it's a recruitment tool, and it's a retention tool. So, and it's open to any firefighter out there, any EMS provider, any law enforcement officer, or any city employee. So,
Chief, if you could just pause for a second. Mr. Rigger, if you could mute your phone.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thanks. Okay. Go ahead, Chief. I'm sorry.
So this is very good news too. We're getting a free burn chamber, and we're also getting a bunch of treadmills, ellipticals, Jacob's ladders. I mean, it's a good process. Like I said, city employees, we encourage any city employee to come down. It's free. You come down anytime. We have people actually in the grant. 2 of our personnel will go for athletic training process to learn how to teach people to become physically fit. I mean, we already have Joey, we have Lynn. I mean, I'm not as physically fit as I used to be, but Maria is a very, very good teacher of physical fitness. So, but this is just going to give them that certification, something we can offer to people. So, pump tests on all the fire engines were completed. We had one, we had to put a valve in, it had a leak. So, with Ethan being a EVT tech, he fixed that and they recertified it right on the spot. So, no big deal. We've started hose testing. If you remember last year in our budget, council approved us, we bought a hose roller. It takes a lot of the work out of it. The guys are so tickled that we bought it. Basically, every year we have around 17,000 feet of fire hose we have to test. You pull it off the trucks, pressure it up for 5 minutes, you drain it, and that hose roller rolls it and drains it all at the same time. And that flattens it out, gets all the air out of it, so you can place it back on the fire engine properly, and it just assists big time. So we're in the middle of that. We have service scholars. I have 3 of them that came back from Wesleyan, and right now their process is if you see people out looking at fire hydrants, they are going back and making sure our hydrants are where they're supposed to be on our emergency reporting. That way, when like in my chief's vehicle, in our fire engine, we have a computer that pulls up a map, and if we're responding, we can hit a fire hydrant, tells it what it flows, where it's at, where's the closest hydrant. That way, we maintain that that's correct, because we have new fire hydrants on Beach Street. We're going to have new fire hydrants on Island Avenue, and those are going to be flows, because the Beach Street hydrants went from like 200 gallon a minute to 1,200. with the new line put in. So moving on, last night, we had a meeting about the first due fire fee. There was a lot of discussion, and it was after the meeting, which, and some things I've heard, some things I'd like for the city to look at. I think, opening up to the community is big with our accreditation process. We have to listen to our community and our businesses. And I think through the process, the city has always banked on the commercial rate being gross sales. I don't think that's truly a fair way of doing it. Agreed. And I think square footage is a better way, because if you have a small building but you do a lot of business, that fire load is very simple compared to a larger building. And I think square footage, if you kind of mirror what they do in Elkins, it's 5 cents a square foot. So that kind of gives you an idea, and I think we need to revisit our city stuff too. And I think we really need to look at, and I'm a proponent of helping people get benefits. So if you have a building that's sprinklered, I think we need to come up with a percentage that people save, whether it's commercial or residential, if you're a sprinkler building, because that saves us a lot of time. Or if you have a Knox box. I think Knox boxes are huge for us, because a lot of times we go to buildings with alarm systems and we sit and we wait and we wait. It's either that or break the door down. If there's smoke, we would break the door down. If there's not, we wait for a key holder. But if that Knox box is there, then we can enter the building because we have a key to the Knox box. Mm-hmm. So that makes it more convenient for us. I just think there's a few ways we can look that are more appeasing to our community, and it helps our communities. Just because they have a lot of gross sales doesn't mean they make a lot of money. And, I've talked to some businesses in the city limits that had that same concern. I think that the square footage model is a better process.
So it takes the subjectivity out
Yes.
of a lot. And we now have, whereas years ago we did not have the ability so much to get that information, but with the GIS
Yes.
mapping
It's on there.
software, we can get square footages of every building and every home to better assess the fire fees in the community.
Yes.
And you're exactly right. I mean, if you're operating in a 400 square foot box, but you're doing a lot of business, that 400 square foot box is a much less of a fire load. We have a corporation here that has 1 million square feet under roof.
Yeah.
That obviously is a much different fire load. So I agree wholeheartely with you. I've spoken to some council members about this, and we've heard from the Chamber of Commerce. Several businesses have reached out to me as well. That increasing the inside city limit fire fee recently and kind of basing it off of some B&O numbers has kind of brought this to light. And it's I totally see where the businesses are coming from if you're in a small location. So.
Yeah, I think it's time, at times you have to make a mistake.
Yes.
And as far as basing it on gross revenue, now in retrospect, I feel was a mistake. I really feel that we have to consider amending that ordinance to reflect square footage, and that amount you said is mirrors Elkins charges 5 cents per square foot, but that's per year.
Yes, per year.
Per year.
Again.
Yeah.
So, Randy and I had a discussion today and had some laughs over some process that we've discussed.
Well, after a while, we had
we had a laugh.
I had misconstrued it in my mind.
Well, I think, Jamie, we all agree with that.
I'd like to
We need to make it a
conversation.
Good.
Go ahead, Jack.
Okay, all right, thank you. The square footage is certainly the way to go. I've experienced this owning a business myself. And anyone who starts a business, you're going to lose money probably the first 5 years at a minimum. And to base the fee on the gross income when you're in a new business or any business and you're losing money is certainly not appropriate, in my opinion. I know that in my best year at a Governor's Inn, We did a significant amount of money that year, but we still lost money due to the investments we made into the property and the improvements we were making. And to be feed on our gross income, quite frankly, would have been an injustice. Because, you know, we were able to demonstrate a significant loss that same year. And so square footage is certainly the way to go. I think it needs to consider also, just not what's under the roof, but if you have external inventory that needs to be protected, that needs to be considered as well. Be it sheds or lumber yards or whatever that we're looking at. But I really feel that that's the way to go. I'm sorry I couldn't make the meeting last night. I'm out of town. And that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, sir.
I just know last night after the meeting, several of the business owners were there. That was their biggest concern. And a couple of them do have small buildings, you know, that yeah, they have some gross income, but that doesn't mean they have net income. And I think that's probably one of the biggest concerns they have in square footage. You know, when you look at Elkins and Bridgeport, and the majority of the first due fire fees commercially are a square footage model. So,
And just to clarify, this would be, if we were to implement the first due fire fee, this would be consistent both inside city limits and outside city limits. It would be the same across the board. So if it's 5 cents per square foot for a business inside the city limits, it'd be 5 cents per square foot outside the city limits. With it, anything that's in our first due, we would be looking at it the same.
and remind people, I mean, that's, I've always emphasized that to the mayor, that people inside the city and outside that we provide in our first due, they're getting the same service.
So it's a level playing.
Some organizations, they can charge 1.5%, and I'm not for 1.5 times. I'm not for that, because I don't see somebody paying 1.5 times what somebody else pays for the same service. I just don't agree with that. That's me personally. So it's something else I want to reflect on. Last night's meeting, and I'm not a huge Facebook person, but there's been some statements made about myself making a statement that we're not for running EMS calls. To clarify, we run EMS calls in the city limits with a licensed ALS EMS response team, okay? So every one of the paid staff is required to be a minimum of an EMT. We have one paramedic that's paid, and we have a paramedic, 2 paramedics. One paramedic's a shift worker, and one paramedic that is a contributing member that comes in when we have events. So whenever you look at outside in the first due, the city of Buckhannon in the city limits is an authority having jurisdiction. We determine what we respond to in the city limits. Outside the city limits, the Upshur County EMS is the authority having jurisdiction over EMS service. So I don't have a problem running medical calls outside the city limits, never have. They, at this point in time, they request this because we don't have the staffing to do it automatically. But with the first due put in place and adding staffing, we will be able to assist them. But due to the accreditation process, every service that we provide has to be approved by you all and has to be presented in writing. So for that to happen automatically, Upshur County EMS, board or directors or whoever it is, has to put in writing the criteria calls and that they want us paged automatically to this type of incidents out in the first due. We do not determine that. I do not determine that. I cannot say Upshur County EMS or Upshur County 911 page us on every medical call outside the city limits. I can't do that. I don't have that authority outside the city limits. So I want to clarify that. People that are talking on Facebook that I'm against running EMS calls, we've had 17 CPR saves in 3.5 years. We delivered 2 sets of twins in 1.5 years. We provide EMS. We are all EMS providers. I'm an EMT, and I don't want them to look at these other departments. They're providing assistance, but a lot of them are untrained. They cannot mitigate. They cannot provide interventions. Some of them can, but not like we can.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to clarify that.
Thank you.
Yep.
You know, it's very similar to a few years ago. Banks District Fire Department sent us in writing a request here that we took up to be on the first alarm on any of their structure fires. Now, Banks District they can be anywhere between 12 to 24 miles away, depending on their fire district away from here. But this council agreed that on any structure fire, that they have, the first tone includes City of Buckhannon Fire Department. But they submitted that request in writing. So we would need the same request in writing because it's outside of city limits.
Every service that we provide has to be approved by you all. That's part of the accreditation law. So it has to be done in writing.
Well, thank you for your time last night and for your information and for all of our firefighters as well. You know, we are facing we're facing a community problem that we hope doesn't become a community crisis. We all know that volunteerism is down. It's down here, it's down next door, it's down nationwide. You know, it's even difficult to find paid staff. And you know from your experience of the amount that we used to have test for a position here, and now it's down to here. You know, one of our own just recently moved to North Carolina, and the fire departments that he went and tested for, the chiefs up there all said it used to be here, a pool of applicants, and now it's here. So if we're struggling to even find people to fill the paid positions, it's going to be even more difficult, if even possible at all, to find additional volunteers. So I applaud our fire department and you know, for our community for taking the steps to how do we best provide the highest quality delivery of emergency services. And that you know, we started the meeting with that last night. I know Commissioner Tenney agrees. We were all in that room last night to do the right thing for our community, to be able to provide the best level of emergency services that we can possibly provide for our citizens.
Yeah.
So we'll get there.
One more remark. I
Yep.
think, I think we should expect a thank you card from the fire department that hired John Brugnoli. I think we should get that, and you might pass that on.
I'll pass along. Council, while Chief's here,
JD, you did a nice job last night.
Thanks, sir.
while Chief is here, do you want to, and since we're having the discussion anyway, would you like to bring F7 to the table?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. McCauley. Pam, would that be your second? We have a second by Mrs. Bucklew to bring F7 to the table, and this is the continued discussion, possible action, first due fire protection service fee implementation. Is there, okay, we've had a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, that motion carries unanimously. That discussion point is on the table. Chief, is there anything else you would like to add to that discussion?
I just, just like I spoke last night, this has been going on. Chief Stacy and I spoke this morning, and he remembers the first discussions in 2014. This is 11 years, and just as I spoke last night at the thing, Kevin Huffman and I met the other day in my office, in 2022 or 2021 when we had our ISO rating done, his department and our department were putting 20 people, 5 from his and 15 from ours, on a fire in the city limits. In 2024, we're putting 14. So in a little over 2 years, we've lost 6 personnel together. Okay, so we have went from here in 2014 to here in 2024. It shouldn't take a disaster to change things. And like I said the other day in a meeting, the definition of insanity is to continue to do the same thing and expect different results. We're to that point where, and it's up to you all, we need to do something, whether it be collectively. I know there were a lot of people there from the county last night. Personally, I've met with all of them, but we have no solutions. There's no solutions to the problem. Even if they come up with a solution of hiring county people to man stations, you're over a year away from that. Because how you going to pay for it? Who's going to pay for it? Who's going to mandate the training? Who's going to watch over them? Who's going to write their policies and procedures? That all takes time. I feel that we're providing the majority of the emergency services, especially in the first due and beyond. We have very dedicated volunteers in our organization along with our career staff, and they're well-trained. We can make a difference, so.
Thank you. Any comments from members of City Council?
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, I have, had a lot of discussions today as well. And, last evening there were calls for more discussions and so forth, which I don't have a problem with. I would welcome more discussion as we move forward, but I think that it would be naive and I think it would be irresponsible for us to kick the can down the road again as far as starting to develop the ordinance for the first due. There's two different things to starting to develop the ordinance for the first due than what the final ordinance will end up being. So I think I would hope the council would join me in recommending that we could, that we do ask the city attorney to begin the process of developing the ordinance for the first due fire fee. And at the same time, anyone that wants to talk with us, reach out to us and ask for a working session, ask for an opportunity to come in and discuss the situation. And I know we'll accommodate as best as possible reasonable times of the day or whatever to have those discussions. I don't know if anyone on council would disagree with me on that as to what this model might look like in its finished product. But I would vigorously support asking the city attorney to begin drafting that ordinance while we have those discussions.
I'm in total agreement with Randy. As Mr. Kimball shared, we've been on this, the city has been on this process for 11 years. And to have just another meeting, another task force, at this point is, to me, superfluous. I think we need to grab the bull by the horns and ask our city attorney to start drafting the ordinance, and then we can start working out the details.
Mr. McCollum?
I think that we need to proceed as soon as possible, and ideally have something ready to go into effect by January 1 of 2025. I mean, this is still early September. You got typically a 3-reading ordinance if it's going to be revenue generating, and then it's at least 30 days to put it into effect. So we're already into November before we get started. But I disagree with Mr. Rigger just on one little element of what he just said. I think there ought to be an ordinance committee that would include, obviously, Mr. O'Neill, and I would suggest at least Chief Kimball and Mr. Skinner. And I think the rest of the council would want to be involved with drafts also as we proceed with this. And if we need to have a special working session or two, that would be fine.
Dave, I think that goes without saying.
Yeah, but you're right, Jack. We don't need a task force or anything like that. I was city attorney in 2014. I attended some of those meetings when we were talking about the first due fee. I would add this, that since Elkins and Bridgeport, their ordinance have been challenged all the way to this state's highest court. We might want to get copies of the current and previous ordinances that passed muster with those courts and tailor ours accordingly. But I'm all for the square footage thing versus the
Yeah, that should be part of the process, David, I think.
Absolutely.
Square footage.
Yeah.
It's not just the first due, but it's the square footage for the first due in the city limits.
And that's probably going to require an amendment to the ordinance in the city.
Right, right. And I also suggest very strongly that, there was a comment in the meeting last night about double dipping. We do not want to double dip. I would hope that the county commission would knock out the $25 per year fee to the first due area. And the only other question I had, I talked to Sam fairly extensively this afternoon, and do we feel comfortable where the first due lines are? Does there need to be a review of that? Those were updated in 2021.
Okay, is that appropriate when it was updated?
Yes,
Or
we used response data for those, and those are, unless for some reason, something comes up or an area in somebody else's district comes to us and says, hey, I'll give you an example. The Nebo Road, where there's hydration and some very high-value houses, if they're class 10 because they're more than 5 miles from us, they're more than 5 miles from Elmore, they're more than 5 miles from Junior Fire Department in Barber County. So they're automatically a class 10. So if that core of people came to one of either Junior or somebody else and said, hey, how can we get to a class whatever, and you have to put a fire station within 5 miles of that. So that it'd be the first opportunity for Elmore to be able to do that since it's their fire district.
so you feel comfortable
Yes.
where the lines
Yes,
are
I feel
now?
very comfortable where the lines are.
Okay.
There were some areas we gave up because we had some areas that we could not access very well. And like I gave the example last night, right out here at the Pringle Tree Road used to be Warren District's fire district. The Tennerton Bridge used to be Washington District years ago because they were based off tax maps. Because that used to be Washington District when you crossed, that was Washington District's district. Well, that just, when you take the response data and you show, hey, we get there in 4 minutes and the first dude's getting there in 17 minutes, then it's not there's no question.
Well, as you have also said repeatedly, JB, that we do not want to go to the 150 percentile.
No.
We want to keep it the same for both the city
Everybody's getting the same
residents
service.
and the
That's
first
the way I
two
feel.
residents.
I don't want to overstep my bounds on that. That's up to you all, but that's my personal feelings on that.
And I made a comment last night, I really believe in transparency. We keep everybody informed, and we want a level playing field. We want to treat people the same. There was a remark made towards the tail end of last night's meeting. I don't want to get too far afield with this, but I was mayor in 2018 when we passed that ordinance to do the sales tax. And Mr. Skinner and Mr. Thomas and Mrs. Buckley were all on the council at the time. And when we were estimating that we would realize $1 million plus, and now we're up to $2 million plus per year on the sales tax, we never, as a council then, and there's been no discussion since then about committing all of those proceeds to police and fire. That was not, we had a long laundry list of needs.
Yes.
We robbed Peter to pay Paul to do storm sewage, storm water management in our community. That's not something the sanitary board can absorb. So every year, we dedicate another $100,000 to $200,000 for stormwater management. We run a cemetery. We have the Stockard Youth Center. We have the Colonial Arts Center. We do miles of paving every year of streets and miles of sidewalk construction throughout our city. There's a whole bunch of things. And it's kind of ironic that we had the meeting at the event center last night, because about 10, 12 years ago, when I was city attorney and Mr. Davidson was mayor, we borrowed $765,000 to make that room that we had the meeting in last night possible. That was entirely 100% funded by the city of Buckhannon over a 30-year period, and we're still making those payments, and we will for another 15, 18 years. So there's lots and lots of needs, not just police and fire, that money was.
Police and fire has benefited from that 1%.
Absolutely,
Enormously.
absolutely.
I mean, you look at what we got, the new fire engine, it was $544,000. We're getting ready to talk about air packs. That's quite a bit of money. This is money before even the first due, and Matt and I, Chief Gregory and I have benefited from that 1%.
Absolutely.
Immensely. So had the street department, we have to take care of the street. But I know the fire department has improved and benefited from that 1%.
Right.
I want to thank you and Tom and you both for, Mr. Skinner did an excellent job too, ultra professional. There were a couple of caustic comments here or there about taxation without representation. This isn't a tax, it's a fee. I mean, nobody outside the city limits gets their water for free.
Right.
Or their sewage for free, or we don't collect their garbage for free. This is on the same gamut. And you had mentioned specifically that you think of fire protection sort of as an insurance policy. I mean, hopefully you never need it. You're a blessed person if you never need emergency services. But if you do, we want to be ready.
Ask the people on Cleveland Avenue, they're tickled to death.
Yep.
I thank you for last night's
Thank you, sir.
input.
Dr. Reed?
May I make a comment?
Yes, but please use the microphone.
I may get shot when I go home. I say we have shot the issue before it started. When we put out water throughout the county, that was a privilege that people wanted. Eventually, as things grow, there's need for other things. Sewer, which, yeah, people kind of want, but they don't want to pay for. And I keep wondering, if we put out water, would it be reasonable to say, when you need sewer, according to certain criteria, we put in the sewer and you automatically become part of the city? I may get shot.
As it was pointed out last night, we as a municipality can only operate within the confines of the state code and what the state legislature gives cities a parameter to operate within. West Virginia has significant challenges in that municipalities have been charged with taking on and supporting vast geographical areas that are outside of our corporate limits, but we are prohibited to collect even 100% of what those services are costing us. We are also prohibited now from engaging in what are called minor boundary adjustments with respect to annexation. The state legislature changed that language. So we are. This is one of the areas, hasn't been changed yet. Not to say that it might not be down the road. I know that we know that there is talk from some local legislators here about eliminating cities' opportunities to realize first due fire fees across the state. But there's been talk of that. We as municipalities are expected to continue to serve and serve and serve and serve, but not everybody who's receiving those services are paying for those services. I mean, for example, when we provide water to within our water footprint, and I'm not talking about the PSDs, the public service districts, I'm talking about the water customers that are within our water footprint, outside corporate limits. Those folks are charged dollar for dollar what the service cost, as so say at the Public Service Commission. In the city limits, we have the ability, and our citizens pay additional surcharges to allow for those services to go outside of corporate limits. We have territories that we're required to provide services to, but we're limited in what we can realize as revenue from some of the services that we provide. Fire has been one of those services, and as it was brought up last night, it's been brought up several times. Yes, currently county residents pay a county fire fee. Residents pay $25 per year. That's whether you live in Selbyville or whether you live in Tallmansville or whether you live in Hodgesville. You pay $25 a year for fire service. That is all of that money that's raised goes into one central location, and it is distributed equally 7 ways to 7 volunteer fire departments in the county. So 1/7 of the $25 is received by Buckhannon's volunteer fire department. Not City of Buckhannon, Buckhannon Volunteer Fire Department, which is a separate organization. They have 8 active members and 2 vehicles. That 1/7 does not pay for the staff that we have, the benefits that we offer our staff, the insurance we carry on them, the turnout gear that we have for them, the air packs, the trucks, the building. So our $1.35 million fire budget is 100% currently raised within the confines of the corporate limits. Yet 50-60% of our calls are taking place outside of corporate limits. Areas that are not paying for the service to the city of Buckhannon. Yes, that 1/7 is paid to the volunteer fire department, and our volunteers do respond. But and the comment has been made too, well, then just send us the volunteers. Don't send us the paid staff, don't send any of the paid city trucks. Well, that knocks out all of our vehicles except for a rescue and 1 small county engine and 8 people. That's it. That means all of our paid staff and our ladder truck and our engines, they all stay here because they have Blue City tags. We obviously don't, we can't do that, and we would never want to do that. But we have a territory that we are sworn to protect. When I administer the oath of office to every single one of our paid staff firefighters, that they take an oath. They are sworn to protect the first due district, which is not something that we created. Every fire department has a first due district, and those districts are set forth, as JV mentioned last night, by the state fire marshal's office, and they can only be changed if the chiefs both of the borders sign off on the changes, or if the chiefs don't agree, the state fire marshal comes in and looks at data and says it's going to be changed this way or that way. So we did not create the district where it is. It's all based on data. I appreciate the meeting last night. I appreciate everybody being there. I have been the one, as everybody knows on our council, to try to put the brakes on this from within, and we have done that for the past couple of years. But when we started the conversations about how can we serve our community without going this route, we started those conversations, and from when they started to now, it's the situations that we're in are no better, and that we have a responsibility to provide services to our community. That is not negotiable. We have to provide services to our community, and that is what we're here to do. I am more than happy to meet with anyone who wants to meet. I think it was said last night too. Folks on this council are willing to meet with anybody who wants to meet. We're happy to meet with volunteer fire departments. We're happy to meet with our colleagues at the county commission. But I do believe that we should simultaneously work to get some language together, directing our city attorney to draft an ordinance so that we can conceptualize and visualize what we've been talking about for all of these years, to see it written on paper. But as Mr. McCauley noted, this is going to take a while. I mean, we could have a draft ordinance to look at for first reading next meeting, which would be the 19th of September. It would be a 3-reading ordinance with a public hearing, and then it would be 30 days after that before it would take into effect. So it's a long process. I think we can have meetings along the way, because I think we all are interested in the input of the county commissioners and the firefighters as we get language on paper of how can we help make this work for everyone. So that's where I'm standing. I appreciate all the council members coming together and giving their thoughts last night and tonight. Are there any other comments on this subject before I ask that we formalize a motion to direct the city attorney to begin working on a draft ordinance?
Well, you said yourself, Robbie, one of the potential challenges that we may have, both the council and the commission, is that evidently there are some legislatures that don't think we're doing the right thing. And that is somewhat concerning.
Well, and yes.
And we need to maybe sit down and talk to some of those legislatures to say, why do they feel that way? Where are they coming from?
Well, sure, we can do that.
I'd be more than willing to do that.
I think it's easy to sit on the sidelines when you're not in a position of managing a municipality. When you don't know what it's like to run a water plant, a sewer plant, collect waste, run a transfer station, run a Parks and Rec department, street department, fire department, police department, run a theater, run a youth center, run an event center. It's easy to kind of pick all that stuff apart and say, you know, we feel like we can do it better. And you know, I think human nature, you know, dictates it's easier to sit on the sidelines and judge it and criticize it. But when you're on the inside and you see the information, as former city council member C.J. Rylands used to say, we're as good as the information. Our decisions are as good as the information we're presented. We're looking at information that our legislators at the Capitol are not looking at, just as they're looking at information that we're not looking at. I try to, myself personally, try to not be too ultra critical of our legislators or the county commissioners for that matter, because we're not looking at the same information that they are. So I think it's all about having a mutual respect for one another and understanding that if we're looking at something like this that's this significant, that impacts our community in such a way, we're doing it because we believe in our heart of hearts that it's the right thing to do for the delivery of high quality professional emergency services to best serve our public. That's what we're here for. So with that, can I please have a motion to direct City Attorney Tom O'Neill to begin drafting an ordinance for potential first reading on September 19th? Motion by Mr. McCauley. I think I heard Mr. Thomas, if that's okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Like, sign opposed. That motion carries unanimously.
Sir, if I may, Captain Lindbax is here. Could we move F2 up?
Absolutely, yeah. I should have done that before. I'm sorry, I missed it.
Because he knows more about their packs than I do.
Okay, thank you. Are you all okay with that? Okay. F2 is now on the table. We've taken care of F7. Excuse me. This is accept bid opening results for the Buckhannon Fire Department breathing apparatus. Good evening, sir.
How are you guys doing?
Good.
I believe in your packet you guys have the letter that we typed up. Approved. I don't know if everybody looks at that. We opened the bids. Bart Manby, Chief, and I did. I took them back, kind of went over our spec sheet, made sure everything was in there that we wanted. We have demoed these packs. We've had them in our hands, on our backs. We've went through them. We had 2 companies send bids in. They each sent multiple bids in because they have different models, that type of stuff. Just to put it pretty simple, and I said it in the letter, that these air packs have about a 15 to 20 year life whenever they have them, like production life. Once that production ends, about another 3 to 5 years parts stop. So that's something that we got to take into account for this. Not only for us on a maintenance side, but you guys for financial. You know, we don't want to buy something and in 10 years it's going to be gone and we can't get parts for it. So with that being said, the kind of middle of the pack bids, with MES, it was quote number QT 1849230. It was $318,878.26. This pack is a 2024 model. It is actually, there's not any of them out yet, actually. So We will be one of the first fire departments to get this model. It'll be start deliver date probably end of December, beginning of January. So with that being said, it's a 2024 model. It's got a lifetime warranty as long as we have the packs, which is really good. One of the other bids was lifetime. It was the same company. The other one was a 15-year warranty. So being again 2024 model, we're gonna see these in production for 15 to 20 years. So parts aren't gonna be an issue in that time. That's about the lifespan of our packs. The ones we have now, we got from California when Townsend was here. They're 2002 specs, a lot of them, so we can't get parts right now for them. We're lucky that we got a bunch of parts from California, so that lets you know that 22-year mark's where we're at now, and we can't get parts. So that's why our recommendation, not only from that standpoint, but from our operability, they are the best packs we felt for our department. So that's where we're at with that.
Council, if you'll recall, that we did create a budget line item for this because there was a chance that we could have received a grant for this. We were unsuccessful in receiving the grant, so we did engage in a budget revision to make room for this investment. So this would not be something unplanned for or unaccounted for within our budget.
How many did you say we were getting?
Well, sorry, I don't think I said it. It's in the quotes, 30-year packs.
Okay.
Yep, 30-year packs.
So do you trade those off as you use them?
Well, the ones we have, we got gave ducks.
Right,
Okay,
right.
so those will, again, there's not much value to them. The liability is not worth selling them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you got 30 packs,
Yes.
will you use one day, maybe use?
Well, they have cylinders on them, so we have a cascade that we can refill them up, so they get refilled as they're used. So, yeah, and those cylinders have a 15-year shelf life on them. So, that's set by DOT, so it's not us. So. Yeah, 30 total packs. So,
Barb, do you have something to?
I
Go ahead,
just
Barb.
was gonna say that we did on that budget line, we budgeted $4,834 a month payment, which is $58,008 for the year. And
4,000.
$834 a month.
So we're a little bit into our fiscal year now, so we'll still need to probably do a revision, but there is space there. And when would we receive these?
yeah, you're looking. They said earliest end of December, probably into the first part of next year, so like January, February-ish. So
Right,
you're going to
so-
be 6 months in
Right.
on the budget. So.
Right.
Okay. Barb, was that 4,834
A month.
00?
Yeah.
That was it, okay, per month, okay.
And so that we obviously haven't expensed from July through, so we'll have availability once we receive these. Is there a motion to accept the bid? Excuse me. Motion by Mr. Sanders, a second. Can I give it to Mr.
Yeah,
Rigger?
yeah,
Is that okay?
That's fine.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate
Thanks.
it very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
You guys have a good weekend. Mr. O'Neill.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things. I know we have a matter on strategic to discuss. I know the time is well spent and far spent here. I would like to just take a personal moment here and just thank the folks that were here with the Legion before for the Patriot Day acknowledgement. As many of you know, I lost someone who was very important in my life on 9/11. My uncle, my mom's youngest brother, was a Navy officer at the Pentagon, lost his life that day. And I'm sorry. I'm just grateful that they're here to just do that. And I just want to thank them for that. We've been working on a number of things. The one that has been kind of taking most of my time recently has been the McCoy matter involving our zoning board of appeals. We have, today I filed with the circuit court a response brief in preparation for our hearing next week, which I hope is going to be the final stop on this very long train in trying to get our zoning ordinance enforced on College Avenue. If anybody is interested in reading my brief, I'd be happy to email to them. But in any event, we're working on that. We've been working on a number of matters for the police department, obviously having a lot of discussions about the fire issue, and I'd be happy before we get into strategic if anybody has any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. O'Neill before we drop down to strategic?
Any updates, Tom, on the College City property
Yeah,
swap?
I do have one. I have a meeting tomorrow with Bethesda to get this survey matter, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about that kind of afterwards. We're moving on.
As a result, I think tonight we need to not take action on F5 Ordinance 469, correct?
That would be my recommendation. I think we could, but I think it'd be better if we just waited and do that kind of with one kind of ribbon around it.
Okay.
And I, depending on how fast Bethesda can move, it could very well be the next meeting in 2 weeks that we are ready to put the bow on this. But we're still gonna have to get the deed from Wesleyan's attorney, and sometimes that's a little, the responsiveness on that side is a little tough. So I'm strenuously trying to get this put to bed, and I'm hopeful that that will be the case in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Okay, we are down to correspondence and information. In your packet, you have the report of the cat and dog activity from the Upshur County Commission for July 2024. The Children's Festival at Stockard Youth and Community Center is on the 14th of this month from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Trunk or Treat is at the Public Safety Complex on the 28th of October from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. We have a letter from the Office of the Attorney General on projected future payments from the opioid settlements. We have a FOIA request from Dewberry Engineers about Walmart environmental site assessment. We have a task order agreement between the City of Buckhannon and Bethesda and Associates for the design of the new water plant. And then we have, it's not in your packet, we put this on here as a anticipation that it might be completed, but we do not yet have the Buckhannon Housing Authority Environmental Review HUD program, so we'll shoot for that hopefully for our next meeting, but we thought we might have it received for tonight's meeting. Down under the consent agenda, Mr. Rigger, do we need to break it out this evening?
No.
Okay. Under the consent agenda, you have the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on 8/1, 8/15, and the special meeting on 8/20. Mr. Sanders and I, by the time we were done stacking the chairs and putting the tables away last night, I don't think we got home before about 10:30 or 11 o'clock last night, so we'll give him a little break on the special meeting from last night, but we do have the minutes from 8/1, 8/15, and 8/20. And then we also have the approval of the building and wiring permits and the approval of the payment of our bills. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Motion by Pam, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Rob. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Like sign opposed, that motion has carried unanimously. All right, we have taken care of F1 and F2. We are down to F3. Jamie could not be here with us this evening. He had a prior commitment, but in your packet you have the approval for the Westfield property insurance renewal. As you know, Travelers is our liability coverage, which renews in the April timeframe. Our property insurance is through Westfield, and it is now. So there is no change on the amounts of insurance, because if you'll recall, we had assessments completed for all of our properties within the city limits.
Appraisals.
Appraisals, yes, thank you. I'm sorry, I was looking for the word. And
Sorry.
yes, we had appraisals completed, and so those figures were updated. So there's about a 5% increase in the annual premium for the property. But that takes into account some of the appraisals that were returned that ultimately increased the values on some of our buildings. This does not have anything to do with liability insurance. That is a whole separate animal. This is the physicality of the structures that we have as a municipality. So no liability coverage, just the property. If we have a water leak or if one catches fire, that's this policy. The renewal is in your packet. Are there any questions? All right, I would entertain a motion that we approve the Westfield property insurance renewal.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries. And sorry, for the record, that was Macaulay and Bucklew. Okay, down to F4. We have a request from the Homeland Security and Emergency Management to waive just the fees for use of the Public Safety Complex training room. No other requirements would be waived. They would still need to provide a proof of liability insurance. They would still need to sign all the waivers that anybody would sign for the use of our facilities and to fill out the requests to be recognized as having the use of said facility. They're just asking for the rental fee to be waived.
I would like to add that they are as much a partner to the city as any of our first responders. I mean, they are the County Homeland Security Emergency Management Division, but Homeland Security and Emergency Management is vital to the success of our first responders. So I'd like to make the motion that we approve that request.
A motion by Mr. Sanders. We have a second by Mr. Thomas. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed. That motion has carried unanimously. As we remarked earlier, it is the recommendation of Mr. O'Neill that we do not take action on second and final reading tonight of Ordinance 469. That will be vacating the 3 alleys down in the between Randolph Street, between Camden Avenue and the river, to the north of Braxton Street. This is relative to the college and city property swap until he can work some things out with Potesta and Associates on taking over the surveying.
Do you want a motion to table?
If you'd like.
I move that we table it until appropriate.
Okay. There's Macaulay first and Thomas second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, that motion carries. Okay, we are down to F6, and we'll ask Mr. O'Neill to come back to the podium. This is the approval of Ordinance 470, the adoption of the policy, it's the adoption of the policy formalizing into an ordinance, liability insurance requirement for reserved use of city facilities for events open to the public. This would be on second and final reading. I will defer to Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've composed myself. Sorry for that. The council has before it ordinance number 470 of the city of Buckhannon, an ordinance requiring the users of city property pursuant to the policies of the city, including the city's parks and Stockard Youth and Community Center, to secure liability insurance, providing coverage for any events advertised or open to the public, providing for exemptions, and setting an effective date. This is the second of 2 readings.
Okay. Is there a motion to adopt Ordinance 470 on second and final reading as presented?
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Sanders. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Macaulay. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Hearing the need for none, I will call for the question. All those in favor of approving Ordinance 470 on second and final reading, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion has carried unanimously. Okay. And it will take effect 30 days following this meeting this evening, as do all ordinances. Okay, we have taken care of F7. We are now down to F8, which is approval setting the date and time for trick or treat within the city limits. This will be on Thursday, October 31st, 2024, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Is there a motion to approve that date and time?
Second.
Was Rob, was that you? Okay. Mr. Zuliani first and Mr. Thomas second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, that motion carries. Up next, finally, on F9, we have the approval of David Howell, CPA, to conduct audits for the period ending 6/30 of '24 to 6/30 of '25. Barb has rejoined us at the podium.
You'll see in your packet that you have the audit proposal score sheet summary. The committee consisted of Nancy Sho, Amby, Dave Thomas, and myself. And we chose David Howe. He's very familiar with our books. He'll take less time of the staff here to help with anything. He understands the complexity of books and accounts, works well with CPA. We use Jeremy Drennan. We could have added preference points, but we didn't because he had scored more points with the other categories. So, and he's very objective, so that was our choice.
I think we've been, bless you, Dr. Reed. We've been pleased, I think, over the past several years with his services. So I'd entertain a motion that we approve David Howe, CPA, to conduct our audits for the period ending 6/30/24 to 6/30/25. Motion by Mrs. Bucklew. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Zuliani. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, that motion carries unanimously. We are down to council comments and announcements, and we will begin over here with Mrs. Bucklew.
I remember when the conversation started with Mitch Casey. I didn't realize it had been 11 years, but this has been kicked down the road. Off and on conversations, back and forth, and nothing has ever done. And I'm glad now it's time that we move forward on this for our first ordinance for the first two. It's time to do it. So.
Thank you. Mr. McCauley.
Just a couple of things. Again, I don't want to keep beating the dead horse from last night, but with suggestions that somehow, if there was a suggestion, I took it that way, maybe I'm more sensitive than others, that somehow we squander the fees and taxes that are raised by this entity, the city of Buckhannon. I just want to observe that check the Public Service Commission site out occasionally. There are 335 registered utilities, those are cities and public service districts, that provide water in the state of West Virginia. Buckhannon right now is 34th lowest of the 335 providers. That puts us at the 10.2 percentile. Sewage, there are 309 providers. We're 93rd, which puts us at the 30.1% among the lowest. Now, they don't list the garbage tariffs and all that stuff, but I would submit to you that if you check in the municipalities around us, call Clarksburg, Morgantown, anybody else around, and see what the garbage fees are. Ours are the lowest. So I think it's a double-edged sword. We've had conversation recently, especially at the water board, that we've done such a good job of keeping fees low that it can compromise your opportunity to do things on down the pike because you don't have those revenues that you need. So it's not to suggest tonight that our water rates will always be at the 10 percentile mark. It's probably going to go up here relatively soon, but we do a darn good job of providing our many services at a very affordable rates. The only other thing I would mention, and those of you who serve on the water board, Mr. Skinner and Mr. Thomas, myself, and Mr. Sanders is ex officio member as a result of being city recorder. This climate change stuff is a real thing. We are, I guess water, because of the storm we had a couple of days ago, the water's still going over the dam. But when it stops, we got a 90-day supply. I implore us as a council to work with the water board and our city engineers, both the consulting engineers and Jay Holland, to start investigating that 2.5 billion gallon water supply that is secreted in the abandoned mines not too far upstream in the Buckhannon River. Our water plant produces about 2 million gallons of water per day. So when we're down to 90 days, which we've been close to here in the last couple of weeks, 2.5 billion gallons buys you 2 years worth of water supply that we haven't tapped into. So would it be expensive to realize the opportunity to introduce that to our water plant? It would. We're not talking thousands of dollars, we're talking millions of dollars. But I think it's something that we ought to at least come together and start having some conversation about. That's all I have tonight, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Rigger.
Certainly been a lively meeting tonight, and appreciate it. Good to hear from Wyatt Byrne.
Yes.
Had an outstanding presentation, the student representative of West Virginia Wesleyan College. He was well-spoken. I appreciate his enthusiasm. JB's news of receiving the life-saving simulators from Loudoun County, Virginia. The generosity of the folks over there is certainly appreciated. And what a tremendous blessing it's going to provide just not to the city, but to the whole county and probably the entire region. I just think that's tremendous. And it's good that policy 470 is in the books. Regrettably, there's been a lot of misinformation put out there. But we know that it's in the best interest of everyone that this policy passed. And those who have questions need to contact us. And again, we can provide the correct answers on the use of our parks and premises. That's about all I have.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Thomas?
I think last night, the fire chief and our mayor and also our city attorney did a nice job during the discussions. And the only concern I have is I think it would be possibly a good opportunity. Occasionally, we used to have the fifth Thursday of a month where the city council and the county commission would meet on some issues. And I do think there's importance to have conversations with our colleagues at the county commission. I'm not sure what kind of format we should do, but I think that's helpful at some point in time. So we all have a great day and a weekend and so forth. And Wyatt did a very nice job also as a sophomore at the college in Lewis County. That's it.
Thanks, Dave. Rob?
I just, one thing keeps nagging at me after the meeting last night, and it's just that there is a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people. I didn't know enough about the topic to feel comfortable to speak on it. Of course, I'm new to it, and I think there needs to be a way, and we've talked about meeting with people, opening up and being able, there needs to be some kind of a centralized, not a think tank, but somewhere that some people can direct their questions, because there's a lot of questions out there, especially from the county outside the city, about what's going to happen, and what they think is going to happen, and what actually is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I think as we go forward with this, we also need to somehow implement not a sheet of bullets, but something that can spell out exactly what it is, that it's not the 1.5, it's just going to be what everyone's paying in the city. Because I think a lot of people are thinking the worst of gloom and doom of what's going to happen with this fee. So they're instantly shutting down on the acceptance of what it is. And I don't know what the answer is, but I know there's so many people out there that probably have questions, and they've got no way to direct them to one person that could answer those questions sufficiently as we progress with it, because it needs to be done, obviously.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Sanders?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'll echo what lots of colleagues said and make some comments on it. I agree with Councilor Zuliani that we need to have a way to disseminate information. And today, I learned a lot today, and you know, I've tried to explain to as many people as I can that the mayor and myself and others are, you know, we are part-time employees, but we do put full-time efforts into what we do. And we do it sometimes late hours in the evening and early hours in the morning to work around other responsibilities. But, you know, we do put efforts into it, so we are learning, and Mr. O'Neill can attest to the fact that we'll call him and ask for counsel. The chief, I've talked to the chief more this week, holy mackerel, you know, than normal, you know. So it's good that we had these kind of conversations. I thanked Commissioner Nolte last night. He makes me better at what I do. He pushes me sometimes, you know, to research, to find the correct answers, to find the right information and so forth. So I have no problem in being challenged because I know that the facts are on our side. You know, I really am confident in that. And sometimes it does take a little bit more research. Mr. McCauley spoke about, you know, our position with our rates, and I do know that that's a good point in some areas, and on other areas, as he said towards the end, you know, when I first became city recorder, I sat in meetings with superintendents and directors of departments saying we're one breakdown away from not being able to deliver services because we can't afford this, we can't afford that. And I challenged them and said, well, why are we in the business? If we can't afford to do it, I've always said, if you can't afford to deliver the service that you're assigned to deliver, then maybe somebody else needs to step in and do that. So we have started looking at raising our rates appropriately so that we can replace equipment and that we can fix things. We shouldn't have a roof that leaks, you know, because we can't afford to fix the roof. So we're getting that. And we just have to ask our constituents to be patient with us as we do that so that we can pay living wages. I think that's only fair. And that we can have proper equipment for our employees to work on safely and productively every day. You know, and finally, I would just, you know, kind of wrap up with, we will work hard, at least I'll pledge as the city recorder and the information coordinator to work with Mayor Skinner and the chief and the city attorney and the council and so forth to try to get that information out there and to get correct information out there, you know, as quickly and rapidly as possible. And if people want to talk to us about it, you know, we've had one large public meeting. I don't think that there needs to be any other large public meetings. I think, though, that if people want to request a meeting with us, Mayor, I'm sure you'd be open to that. I'm sure council would. I would be. So, you know, reach out to us as we move forward on this process. I said a lot last night about delivering quality performance, you know, and that's what it's all about. So I look forward to a hectic several months ahead as we work through several processes, and look forward to this council continuing to do good things.
Thanks, sir. I would observe this evening that I too have learned a lot today in conversations I've had, things I've seen on social media. A lot is demanded of us. And when I say that, I don't just mean the services that we provide. I mean, we are the ones that are constantly being targeted for over-explaining everything that we do. When we live stream every single meeting, you do not have to come to a city council meeting physically to see what we're doing. Both of our local media outlets are here religiously every single meeting and report 3, 4, sometimes 5 stories per city council meeting. All of our numbers are public record, no matter what. Every meeting we have is a public knowledge and public record, no matter what. It is interesting to me that we have at our fingertips more information and easier access to information than we've ever had before, yet it is a tool that is being used to spread information that is completely incorrect. And some of the people that are saying, I just want correct information, are spreading the incorrect information. It is an interesting phenomenon. Katie and I have talked about this. I've talked about this with some colleagues here. I'll never forget. There was a day in the insurance agency. One of our clients came in, and everything he was saying was it was incorrect. And I said, our meetings are open. I don't have time to go to the meetings. Well, there's the record delta in my Buckhannon. I don't get any of that. Well, there's Channel 5 and Channel 12. I don't have cable. I don't watch local TV. Well, what are we supposed to do? I mean, are we literally supposed to? I mean, are people expecting us every time that there's an issue to go door to door to door to door and knock on the door and say, Mrs. Bucklew, guess what we're doing tonight? Or guess what we're doing next week? Just wanted to let you know. It is I totally agree that if we can find a solution to help disseminate information better, all for it. But there is a responsibility to the citizens of not just this community, but of the state and of the United States to be informed, to know what's going on in not only your community, in your state, and in your nation, and around the world. We can't live in under rocks and in vacuums and just put our heads in the sand and pretend that we don't want to know what's going on. We had no idea what's going on. I mean, some of the business owners that have come forth and shared major concerns about our fire fee change. And I'm not talking about the first two. I'm talking about our inside city limit fire fee change. They had every opportunity to come to 3 different meetings that we had that were all open to the public to voice their concerns about this, or to call us up on the phone, or to send us messages while the process was taking place. But they weren't paying attention until they get the bill. And then it's, well, wait a minute. What'd they do down there at City Hall? But it was all public record. So I would challenge our community, I would challenge us as citizens to work, all of us, myself included, to be more informed, to know what's going on. And finally, I would end with, questions are great. We welcome questions. Questions help us to better understand our roles and to keep our knowledge sharp as to the inner workings of our community. But questions also help to squash the misinformation that's out there. Some of the folks that are sharing information about what we just listened to and what took place last night, they've not been to any of the discussions we've had about this since 2014. And they're sharing information like it's the gospel. I find that really interesting. But I would also note that on the question point, questions are great. But let's not assume that we have all the answers to our budget and to the way we do business here when you're not sitting on this side of the table. To question is absolutely a citizen's right. It's taxpayer money. Questioning is welcomed. Questioning is part of citizens doing their due diligence. That's not what I'm talking about. It's assuming and taking shots when you may not have all of the information. Because what I have found, and what probably most of you have found, is when people come to us just mad about something going on, and you say, "Well, no, wait a minute, that's actually incorrect. Here's here's the information, or, well, that's partially incorrect. Part of that is true, but here's the other side of the coin. All the time, they back down and say, oh, okay, well, I mean, I didn't know. I was going off of what I was told. We've got to be better at not just taking what is being told to us as, that's it, that's what's factual. We got to look at the actual data and trust that the data is correct. And I can tell you right now, the data that our fire department, police department received comes directly from 911 center. It's all time strapped, it's date strapped. Our firefighters and our, and our police officers wear body cameras. They have the raw footage of what's going on at every incident. So we're not making it up. We're not cooking the books to our benefit. We're getting all of the information based on the 911 data that is received, on time out, time in, how many people responded, how many people, what apparatuses are taken out, how much each call costs. All of that is information that we track. And it's all available to the public. All you have to do is just call or stop by and ask, and we'll be happy to give it to you. Sorry for the long soapbox, but I think what we've been through here in the last couple of weeks and few months with different topics, it needed to be said. We've got to be better at pushing away the stuff that's not true and recognizing what is true. We will be a happier society if we can do that. All right. 8:58. I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn. All right, thank you.